All right, we are back. Welcome again to Bronco Nation Live. We're like the Broncos, not dead, won't quit. We're here. I'm Nick Wade, your host of Bronco Nation Live, and as always, I am joined by my good friend Sam Gillette of Sam Talk Sports. All right, we're ready to do this, man.
I say let's start. We've already gone through a bunch of stuff. If you missed the first part of the show, go back and watch the technical difficulty show. But let's jump in here. We don't need to go through the fluff anymore. Let's start. How is the competition driving every position battle under Coach Danielson, and how much of a different feel is it this year as opposed to what it was last year?
Yeah. So Coach D's been really upfront about this. He will not tolerate complacency. He wants violence, 4 to 6 seconds after every snap from every player. So it's real. Coach D said it best: competition is the heartbeat of this program. Every position group is fighting for reps, and that's what I see this year.
Yeah. Speaking of every position group fighting for reps, at quarterbacks, Madsen, the clear number one heading into camp. A lot of fans may not be happy about that, but he's done a lot of work in the offseason. What can you tell us about that decision to put Maddux over more of the fan favorites?
Yeah, so I don't know. Even before spring camp, Coach D came out there and told Bronco Nation, "Hey, Mad Dog's QB1." And we at Bronco Nation Updates, we hear both sides, a lot of grumbling, but Mad Dog's coming off that injury, that turf toe. Just from my eye and my opinion, from what I see in camp, he has a bunch of reps. He's number 8 on the all-time passing list in school history. He knows the offense inside and out, and there's a reason why Coach D has gone with Mad Dog at QB1.
Yeah, and then running backs. I mean, you got Sire Gaines and Dylan Riley. Jeez,
yeah, can't forget the Jet, man.
I almost said Ashton Genty, and I'm like, no, that ain't it. You got Sire Gaines, Dylan Riley, and you got a few others back there as well. They're clear 1 and 2, obviously, but what can you tell us about that battle for who's going to see play time versus who's looking for next year?
Yeah, so when KBY went to media day, we asked him several different ways, trying to get the temperature. Is this going to be a run first or a pass first? And it's I believe they're going to probably be going. They're going to try to balance it, but with the stable back there, I'm sure it's probably going to be a run first. But you're going to see, and multiple people have said this, that it's going to be a good dose of both Sire Gaines and Dylan Riley. But they're going to go with the hot hand. So if one of them's having a heck of a game, guess what? You just keep feeding them the rock. As far as the 2 other transfers, you have Jules Goff from Pitt, and then you have Harry Stewart from Kansas. And I may have gotten those switched up, but to me, Jules Goff, he's been kind of banged up, so you didn't see a lot of him during spring camp, but you did see Harry Stewart. Jules Goff kind of reminds me of the Malik Sherrod from last year. He's got that kind of a smaller build, and then the way that I would describe Harry Stewart is he's really stout. He's kind of like a Breezy Dubar, but more flexible and less prone to injury. So I would think that Jules Goff would be probably really good in the run pass game, and then Harry Stewart would be a nice complement to Sire Gaines around the goal line, some of those ground and pound opportunities.
Yeah, Sire, I think he's going to find his niche in the NFL as that third down back. Whenever you need 1 yard, he's going to get you a yard and a half. So moving over, one of the biggest question marks heading into fall camp is the receiving room. Not a lot of names there that everybody knows. I mean, we have some of the returners, but I mean, Maddux has been working in the off season on a deep ball, and we've got deep threat wide receivers here. What can you tell us about the receiving room and how they're going to be able to work with Maddux to bring balance to a run heavy offense?
Yeah. So that receiving room is it's really deep. There's a lot of talent, a lot of uncertainty because we had a lot of incoming transfers that we just don't know a whole lot about. But let me kind of go through them real quick. So you got returner Cam Bates, number 3. You've got Ben Ford, who's coming off of an injury. He's trying to make his way back in. Seen him get some action here lately, which is promising. Then you've got the phenom, the Rashawn Jones, who's been really doing great, not only in spring ball, but also just picking right up where he left off in fall ball. Then you've got Demo, Darren Morris, the transfer, and he's kind of he reminds me of a veteran guy. He's doing very well. Then you've got Nitro Wright, Hakeem Nitro Wright, very speedy. You've seen lots of highlights from him coming out of Boise State from their social media outlets. He's got very good hands and he's very speedy. And then you have the emergence of AJ Jones. I don't even think he saw any action last year as a freshman, but Boise State has shown some highlights of him making some really good catches. And then you can't forget about Quentin Brown, the speedy number 25, who burst on the scene last year, had an awesome touchdown run. I think he broke his nose, banged up some chiclets, but he's out there. And then, but you've seen it online. Cam Bates has been making some really good catches, and so yeah, that room is deep. And I asked Coach Whitted point blank on Monday, that it's deep. How are you going to get them the reps they need? And what they're doing is the way that they've maximized the reps this year in spring ball and in fall ball. It's allowing them to get down the depth chart and get some of these receivers more reps, more potential touches, and that's what I've seen at practice.
A quick follow-up here. Is this going to be a room that can take us back to the Kellen Moore style where you get 7 or 8 different receivers touching the ball before halftime?
If the speed is going to be like we hope it's going to be, I could see that, but I could also see where you got about 3 of them that are really that really take off and can really perform well during the season. If everything, again though, until we see what happens on the field, then but there's a potential for that, but there's also a potential where I could see 1 to 2 receivers really taking off and getting a bulk of the yards.
Yeah. And of course, for any receiver to take off and get a bunch of yards, you need an offensive line. We've got some pretty solid starters. I mean, there's still some position battling going on, but what can you tell us about the depth of the line? Not just the starters or presumptive starters, but that 2 and 3 man that's going to step up and not have a fall off.
Yeah. So, when we were at the spring game, we saw 4-star freshman Cole Cronin go down, and he by far was one of the most talented incoming freshmen. Not only that, but something when you lose a a draft pick like Cage Casey and Mason Randolph moving on. There was a little bit of uncertainty, and when we got together on that post game of the spring game, I said that that was my major concern was the offensive line. That being said, what I've seen in fall camp is very promising to me. I can probably I've been able to kind of pinpoint about the 10 to 11 guys that I think that are good to go. You've got Daylon Matoyer coming back from an injury. You have Roger Carrion, who got banged up and he's coming back. You got Jason Steele coming back from an injury, and you're seeing all those. But the emergence of Tyler Etheridge, the transfer out of CSU Pueblo, very bright spot for this O-line. He's well respected. He's been, he came from the School of Hard Knocks, and I think that this is the perfect program for him to come in and make an impact. And we've got him for 2 years. So I will continue to monitor the O-line. And in fact, we're going to go into KBOI's Bronco game day with me highlighting just that, because I think the trenches are probably the most important key to victory going against the power for Oregon.
Yeah. And not just the trenches on the offensive side, but the defensive side as well. Boise State last year kind of took a step back at times in the stopping the run. How's this defensive line this year preparing to not have that same faultiness that they had last year?
I think with the emphasis on violence and that switch on how they're looking at this, as a Bronco fan, I love this. I love to hear our guys talking about bringing the violence, and that was our main our main theme when Nate and I went to media day. Is we heard a bunch about we're going to bring the violence, and I want to get back to those glory days where you had the Winston Venables and Leighton Vander Esch just flying around just punishing people, the Taylors back there just punishing the offenses. So with that being said, I just asked Coach Miley on Monday. We've seen some of the usual faces from last year, like Max Stieg, JVM, Lopez Sanusi, Bull. But he told us to keep an eye on the transfer Makai Edwards from Central Washington. Makayo Edward from 97 from Central Washington. He said that he's really came in there and kind of made a difference. And then you got David Latu. We just interviewed him today, and he also is digging that violence part, and he's looking to put in the work during this fall camp to even outperform what he did last year.
Yep. We have a pop question. Can the offensive and defensive line work together after so many changes?
So I think the culture of it, and for especially on the offensive line, you ask them, hey, is there a competition? And they're always going to point, hey, we're getting better as a group. So I think that and every year you're going to see this where the line's going to get banged up, right? So you're going to see people switching in and out, and I've seen that during fall camp already. Somebody you might think would be at right tackle is playing guard, a guard playing center, and those types of things. And then with the defense, I think that they are all in. They have, last year they had about 30 turnovers. They want to be the top team in turnovers in the nation. So they have lofty goals, and it's up to them. They got to bring that violence that first 4 to 6 seconds after each snap. Both lines on both trenches, and like I said, I think that's going to be a big key to how they perform against Oregon.
Yeah. Pop follows up with violence is good, but is it intelligent violence? And I think we all know the answer to that with Danielson. It's going to be intelligent. They're going to punch you in the mouth and say thank you, Jesus, after.
Exactly.
The secondary, obviously, Buck Benefield off the LSU, huge dagger. But we got some guys that are there to take his place, and we got guys, some lockdown corners. What can you tell us about this secondary this year?
Yeah, we're seeing some, and you've seen it on social media, so I'm not breaching my embargo here. But Sherrod Smith is the real deal. He'll go in there and he'll snatch that ball away. You know, a lot of people are trying to harp on Mad Dog for that pick, but that was just a will of a man who wants the ball, right? He went over the receiver's back and he just took that ish away from the receiver. But you got him. You've got incoming South Dakota prospect Roman Tillman from South Dakota. He's playing the nickel. So there's a lot of moving parts because the way that they have the secondary right now, they got them all listed as DBs, but it's my job to go watch them and go, oh, okay, he's a nickel. He's a corner. All right, he's playing safety. There's the Mike. There's Will. There's Sam. So it's been kind of difficult. Yeah, it's been kind of difficult for me, but you're seeing, but you are seeing them kind of mixing it around. But and you've seen it from the videos that Sherrod Smith and Rod Smith and Jaden Mickey, probably safe to assume that those will probably be your corners most of the time. And then you got your nickels. Last year, Derek Anter Jr. came on strong, and I think that he'll probably be a nickel. Looks like Tillman will probably is suitable for a nickel. But then you have safety. You've got Travis Anderson, number 38, and you also have Kyle Hall, 20. Do you remember last year when I made my hot take on the running backs?
I've slept a lot since then.
You remember I picked Dylan Riley to be the surprise, right? So this year, and I'm going to write an article about it. And I have no inside information about this, but I'm just going to venture to guess because I think that Kyle, I love Travis Anderson. I've seen his tape in high school where he's shut off a couple games. But my hot take is I think that Kyle Hall will probably end up being the man at safety. He's just got that size that you could plug and play. He's basically the same dimensions as Buck was, 6'2", 205, somewhere around in there. It's just too hard to ignore that size and what he can do. And I watch him on the field. He's got a really good IQ. So I think that, even if he doesn't start right away, I think that after everything's said and done, I think Kyle Hall will have a great year this year. And so just keep an eye out. I'm going to write an article about it and why I think that's the case. There's that room too is so deep. It's hard for me, and I'm there for 3 hours almost every day watching it, trying to keep track of how they're shifting these guys around. Whatever you've seen on social media that's been released by Boise State themselves is stuff that I've seen. So Rod Smith and Jaden Mickey, I have a really good hunch that they're going to be on the islands out there.
All right. And Bronco Nation, if you have questions or comments, go ahead and put them in the comment section. If you're watching this on replay, go ahead and put your questions and comments in the comment section. We will interact with you in the comments as well. Pop says, do we have the weapons to play man in the secondary?
I think we do. I think, like I said, and you got Rod Smith, who's a heavy hitter. You've got, and we also have Cam Jamerson. We've got he's the transfer from Kennesaw State, I believe. And then you have Frank Johnson back there. But I think as far as the speed goes, you got Jaden Mickey. I think that we could have confidence in him to go man to man. And I think Rod Smith would also be. We saw the highlight. You know, he stayed right with them, and when he had that opportunity, he ripped that ish out of there, man. And then you also got some in depth. You can't forget about Arthur DeBoshi. He had a really he can hit hard from what we saw last year during camp. You have you can't forget. Actually, it's Jericho Washington who came from Kennesaw State. He's got a good talent. So we just have a lot of personnel back there, and the cream's gonna rise to the top. And like Danielson says, like the dudes are gonna play. The dudes who are dudes, they're gonna play.
Yeah. Now, there's two people that I want to talk about, and you can say, yeah, it's been addressed, or no, it hasn't. But Braxton Feely, Jeremiah Irby, we just had a ruling that they're eligible to play if they want to play, if they can find a roster spot. They can't go anywhere else, I don't believe. I think they have to go back to the school they left, but they're eligible to play if they want to, if they can get a roster spot. Is there any push to try and get those two back?
We've been nagging them since that 5-for-5 came out. We've been nagging each either Spencer Danielson or the defensive defensive coaches. We've been asking them repeatedly, and they just don't know yet. There's some hurdles that these players need to go through. I will say that the way the rule is, if they're allowed to come back, they can only come back to the school that they went away with. So Irby and Feely would have to come back. Now, when I asked Coach Miley on Monday about it, he said that in most cases where a player doesn't have too much familiarity with the program, it may be too hard to come back with such a short amount of time. But he said with confidence, if Braxton were to get the okay, and even with Irby, that it shouldn't be too hard. But he focused on Braxton because that's his line. He said that it probably wouldn't be too much of a hard sell with the culture and with the experience he's had with the Broncos.
Yeah.
We've been trying to get an answer, but we probably know just as much as they do. And it's on Braxton and Jeremiah to get over those hurdles to get that fifth year.
Yeah. Now, the consensus was the last time we played Oregon that we lost because of special teams. Looking at the special teams this year, is that going to be a worry heading into week one, or are they better?
They're certainly putting a lot of time in. They were actually going through it today pretty extensively. And today they're actually in full pads. I really like the pickup that they picked. They had a late pickup of Jeremiah Lane, number 34. Dude has some really good hands. But I'm hoping to get a chance to interview Coach Collins, because I'm going to ask him. I'm going to continue to follow up on those gaps that we had in the last Oregon game, and ask him if he's confident that those are going to not be an issue again. But I think that they are putting an emphasis on that, being they're going back into Eugene, and really, if it weren't for those hiccups, that really let Oregon back in on that game, and they won by 3.
Yeah. Well, just based off of what you're saying here, I can kind of feel the players. The intensity is higher than last year. Urgency is higher. The standard is higher, and we're excited to see what comes out of it in week one. Let's talk big picture now. This is Boise State's first Pac-12 campaign. We talked a little bit in the technical difficulty show that they their first campaign in the Mountain West, they ended up losing wide right to TCU. Special teams again. We want them to be competitive and in there for the Pac-12 campaign. We want them to win that. What are the key storylines heading into this new era?
Well, ever since that they brought the cream of the crop from the Mountain West, and like I said in the CFR show on Monday, the teams that especially Boise State, they kicked ass in the Mountain West, but the Mountain West is basically the bottom dwellers, with the exception of UNLV and New Mexico. But now you've got the Pac-12 that's got the best of the best from the Mountain West, and I believe they have the two Pac-12 teams, Oregon State and Washington State. And then I think they made a really good pickup with Texas State. So that's brought on a lot of eyes from, potential recruiting prospects who go, hey, I want to be a part of that. So you're seeing Texas State getting some really good talent. You're seeing Oregon State, Washington State, and Boise State getting some really good talent, maybe better than they would have if they would have remained in the Mountain West. So in my opinion, I think the physicalities should be bigger, faster, and deeper. But Boise State has spent the offseason adding that size and that speed across the board. We just talked about the receivers and the cornerbacks. So depth-wise, I think that you can't survive the Pac-12 without depth, especially it's kind of an unknown right now, right? Beside the teams that the Boise State came in with from the Mountain West, there is still a lot of unknowns, especially with better talent coming to all of these teams, I believe. So you're not going to be able to survive if you don't have the depth. And Boise State has built legitimate 2-deep competition at almost every position, as I can see during fall camp. And then, Coach D's culture is fully intact. It's been intact for 3 years. They're coming off back-to-back championships. So this team knows who it is. They're tough. They're disciplined. They're getting that violence, and hopefully that the quickness that we're seeing during these camps translates into these real game situations.
All right. Well, let's move on to September 5th, season opener, Nick, at Oregon, Autzen Stadium, national TV, first Pac-12 game in program history. New Pac-12 versus old Pac-12. We've kind of saw that with the bowl game where we went in and got thumped by Washington. What's the vibe around this matchup, and is it kind of different than what we saw versus Washington or even 2 years ago when we played Oregon?
Yeah, I'm catching the same kind of vibe because things can set up just like they did in 2024, So to me, this matchup is massive. There's lots of implications here. Again, you said it, first Pac-12 game, new era. You're taking on the Ducks. We were 3-0. We lost that last one, so we're 3-1. So you really want to keep that distance in the winning percentage against this Power 4 team. There's a lot of weight on this. There's a lot of weight on Coach D and both him and Mad Dog to win a Power 4 game. But Oregon is a monster. I've seen where they're probably considered the top 3. And they've got speed everywhere, NFL bodies everywhere. They've got the best money can buy, right? They got the money, they got the logo over there. But I don't think Boise State is intimidated. Again, we've had success against them. We're 3-1 overall. The coaches told me we're not going there to survive. We're going there to compete. They've also said we're built for this, and then this is the perfect test for who we want to be. And even the quote that's been circulating around all off season is, Coach G says you don't have to beat them 10 times. You just got to beat them once. Yeah. And then we asked. You gave me that question to ask Mad Dog during media day about, the last time they went into a new conference, and then how TCU bit him in the ass. But Mad Dog says, if you want to be great, you play great teams. So, this is going to be, both a test for Coach D and Mad Dog. I would love to see them cover the spread at least. And if they get an upset, even better. But I think if they cover the spread, that opens up the rest of the season. If they win, they could be the CFP darling. But they gotta at least cover the spread. And the Pac-12 as a whole, they need to cover the spread for these Power 4 matchups.
Yep. I was going to type this out and put it on a banner, but I think I'm going to say it instead. Pop says, let me be blunt. Beat Oregon and we make the playoffs.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. That's why this is kind of a massive thing. And, maybe Oregon comes out and craps the bed the first game, like they almost did against the Idaho Vandals a couple years ago. It's possible. So why not against Boise State, a better team? So I mean, yeah, if that were the case, they get an upset. Like, watch out! You want to see pandemonium in Boise, Idaho. That would do it right there, and I'm all for it. I hope it happens.
Yeah, he spelled Blunt, BLOUNT, LeGarrette Blunt.
Oh,
that was would have been better on the banner, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, you're talking to Maddux Madsen. What are you seeing from him?
I think he looks great. His delivery, the spin, it's looking good. You're seeing some deep balls. There's always been this contention that he can't throw the deep ball, but during some of our post game shows, we pointed out that he has connected on some long throws. Unfortunately for him, the last couple of years we've had the dropsies, but he's got the command of the offense as he usually does. He's always fast in his decision making. He knows that offense, as a 2.5 year starter. He has that better pocket movement than the rest of the group. Seems to me he's got a strong arm, and with Mad Dog, he's just simply a leader and a winner. I mean, he came back after injury last season in the Mountain West Championship game, balled out, got the MVP for the offense. But Coach Hill told me on Monday that Maddux is playing the best football of his life. So, and I, coming back from that turf toe injury, from what I've seen this fall camp, there's not a question that he should be QB1. And I know people don't like hearing that, but some people, but he's just, to me, until somebody can prove that they have more command and better leadership, he's going to be QB1 until that happens. And, again, he just wins the games that he's in the whole game. And if he's not injured, he flat out wins. He's number 8 on the all-time passing rankings in school history.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about the running backs earlier, but what can you tell us? What's the latest on Sire Gaines and Dylan Riley and how that 1-2 punch is going to go this year?
Yeah, I think that this is probably going to be one of the best running back rooms in the nation. Well, it's bar none. It's going to be the best in the G6 for sure. But depending on what happens in these first 2 games of the season, if it comes out like I think it will, it's going to be probably one of the best in the nation. Sire Gaines is probably the most explosive player on the roster. And then Dylan Riley, the Jet, he's just as fast as he's always been, but now he's got 10 pounds. He's 10 pounds heavier.
I 10 pounds heavier of that speed running at you. I don't want to step in front of him. Looking at the receiver room, we talked about that too. Wide open. You've mentioned the drops last year, the departure of Chris Marshall, Caples, the Ben Ford injury. I mean, last year, just the receiving core kind of fell apart when Ben Ford went down. We didn't get the production out of the tight ends that we were expecting to get. So what's that receiver room looking like this year? And is it better than what last year's potential was?
Yeah, I think it's got really good potential. I like what I see. I like the speed I'm seeing. We do have some height in Cash Williams. He's that 6'5" receiver. He's going to need to prove it in game time. I like what I see from a veteran receiver who came in, Darren Morris, and I don't think there's going to be a lot of drama. Chris Marshall's gone. He went to Arkansas. I think that this receiver room's got a better culture, better positive outlook on things. Now, if they can limit the drops, as we've seen in the last few years, I think that they have the potential to be way better, especially with the emergence of the talented Rashawn Jones.
And we kind of went in depth with the defensive back room earlier in the show. So I'm just going to give you this one question here for this one. Who's got the best lockdown potential? Like do you feel comfortable putting on an island with the other team's best receiver and not having to worry about needing help over the top or anything?
Hands down, Jaden Mickey. He was solid last year, and now they're moving him from nickel to corner, and I think that he will be able to lock them down and make the tackle if they catch the ball.
Yeah. Something we haven't touched on yet, tight ends. Do you have anything on the tight ends, or you want to save that for a future show?
I'll just say, Wags is the clear front runner. But you got, a group of 3 that are coming in behind him. You got Austin Terry, who's been really good in that group. And then you got Kawhi Brown, Ronda Rousey's stepson, seeing some action during practice. And then you got Carter Kukumbu, who's got that size. That room's deep and but clear, our clear NFL prospect from that room is Wags.
Yeah. Well, kind of off the gridiron and into the end zone, the north end zone to be exact. You got to tour the brand new north end zone project. What stood out to you, and is it as good as what the videos showed?
Yeah. They just had a tour for fans yesterday. If you weren't able to make that, go to KBOI's YouTube channel. I did a video tutorial on that whole thing. But this is a state of the art facility that's going to keep our student athletes with the top of the line nutrition, the training, even the recruiting lounge is top of the line. It's going to attract bigger and better talent to come in. It's unbelievable. The new recruiting spaces are awesome. The suites, the right on the blue, are awesome. But the game changers, the player entrance, they're going to come through, from the locker room down the center of that, the NEZ, and this will be captured on, the networks. So, they're gonna have, like on CBS or whoever's broadcasting that game, you'll see them come down the center of that. You'll have fans on both sides. I'm actually sent a message out to JD to allow the super fans access to that for that. I think that would be a great addition, but it's going to be all the pomp and circumstances. They come through that onto the blue, hauling the hammer out, coming out there.
Yeah. Well, we said this was going to be a football show, so let's take it from the gridiron to the pitch. Boise State opened their season tonight at home against CSUN, Cal State Northridge, at the Boas Soccer Complex. Players to watch this year include Ava DeLeast, Maddie Donovan, and Sophie Schmatz. Boise State unbeaten in its last 8 season openers. They're 5-0-3 during that span. So, Nick, do you have an update on that game yet?
I am trying to. We've had these technical difficulties here. I'm gonna, on the fly, really quick here, I'm gonna try to get that for you because I'm not seeing anything on my app. And I'm not seeing anything. So there's, right now they're going through this transition. Right now you can catch the game on YouTube, on the Pac-12 YouTube channel. I'm not seeing a score at all here. Yeah. Unless you can, are you finding anything there, Sam?
Not yet, but don't count me out just yet. Let me see.
I may have to go into that YouTube link and get a quick update.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I hope that they come out with the app soon, because it's a lot easier to keep track of these guys. Okay, it looks like Boise State is up 3-0 at the 73-minute mark in the second half. So,
and they're not playing Argentina.
That trend of getting those wins to start off the season looks like it's going to continue to go. So,
yeah.
But yeah, Ava DeLeast, Maddie Donovan, and Sophie Schmatz brought some preseason awards. So we'll continue to update you guys on all the sports at Bronco Nation Updates. That's one thing that we're really proud of with Bronco Nation Updates, is that we don't just follow the trendy sports. We follow them all, including the club sports.
I can tell you
the other thing too is,
real quick,
Nick, we're a fan-driven media group. The people that, I'm a fan. I've been a lifelong fan, and some of the other ones, they're doing their job, but they're alumni from other colleges. But here, we are fan-driven. But Bronco Nation, I really appreciate you having patience with us through the technical difficulties. And again, we have that blue collar and we bleed blue, so we weren't going to give up. So we came back on. We gave you a show, and I promise next time we'll try our best not to have so many technical difficulties. But I feel very privileged and blessed to be able to serve Bronco Nation in this capacity. And I wouldn't be anywhere without you, Bronco Nation and Bronco Nation updates, because we have an awesome family there. Sometimes it's dysfunctional, but we still love you. And anyway, we're gonna wrap it up tonight. But if you're watching the replay, share this show and subscribe to the channel, ring the bell so that you never miss any of our shows. So for Sam Gillette, I'm Nick Wade. This has been Bronco Nation Live. Thank you so much. Go Broncos and take care.